Hi, Kate. How are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. Welcome to Town Talks. I'm super stoked to chat with you today. You have no idea.
Me too. I've been waiting for this. Thank you so much for having me.
So I met you on Clubhouse and I'm super excited. And you were talking, and it was like you were just blowing my mind. There were things that I had ideas of, but I didn't have facts. So before we even get into this interview, let's go backward. And I would like
Hmm.
you to introduce yourself and tell people about some of the companies and music royalties that you have worked with. And royalty is a double entendre in this case.
Oh gosh. So yes, thank you so much. So I had an interesting career. I started out as a metadata analyst at Universal Music. Didn't know what that was when I started, but I'm always a person that I love administration. I love to make sure that the paperwork is done. Like nobody likes that, but for some reason I do. So it's just crazy how I was able to fit into this role because it's all administration, it's all metadata. And for those, I guess we're going to talk about it later, but metadata is basically just information about information, right? And I was a metadata and training analyst at Universal. And I went on to BMG. Then I went on to the International Copyright Enterprise in Berlin, Germany. Got back to London, went to 21st Century Fox, and then went to Sony. I did a little small stint at Cobalt, and I also worked at PPL, which is the organization that remits royalties to performers and record labels. Um, and then, I got a call sometime in between there, a gentleman that I worked with in London called Ken Burton, prolific musician, black musician at that. And he said, "Oh, Keith, what are you doing on Thursday?" I'm like, I'm nothing. Can you come to the studio? Can you come to Abbey Road Studios? Now, when you hear Abbey Road, it's a big deal, right? That's where, if to those of you who don't know, the Beatles walking across the pedestrian, that pedestrian is just outside Abbey Road Studios, right? And going there, he sends the music. We got to learn this music, learn the music, sends the contract, sign the contract, going to the studio, recording the songs, then left. Didn't know what that was. All I know is that I got a healthy amount of money per hour for like 10 hours of work. And next thing I'm hearing, Black Panther, Black Panther, Black Panther. I'm like, oh, that's what we recorded that day. I had no idea what I was recording. Turned out to be Black Panther. So that was fantastic. I've sang for the Queen of England. I don't know if you remember, there was this big show the Queen had in her palace called Prom at the Palace. There was 2 days of concerts. There was Party at the Palace and Prom at the Palace. I sang at the Prom at the Palace, literally in her garden, in the palace. And that was an awesome experience as well, with like the biggest artists in the world, like ridiculous. So that's been in my experience, but it's been my main experience, my main work and professional life has been centered around metadata and working with that. So I hope that answers your question.
And I love how you just glide over the companies that you work at. Oh, I just, worked for Universal and Sony. No big deal.
It's really not that big a deal, to be honest. So, but yeah.
It's for you because you've been doing it for so many years and such a long time that it has just become like, this is just a job. Like,
it's just a job. It's just a job. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for my carrier people, I want them to know so that we can be extra proud that you're coming with dual knowledge as well, because you are born and raised in?
Born and raised in London.
And where is your background?
Trinidad and Tobago.
Say something. People that are Trini family, and I love it. Okay.
The food here is great.
Hey, listen. Go visit and visit us.
Mm-hmm.
So let's bring it all the way in and let's talk a little bit about the music industry. How has it pivoted from when you started to now? Has there been changes? Has there been small or big changes in your opinion?
Um, I think there've been a lot of changes. More like improvements of the changes. So the streaming, and now you got the TikToks, and what's that other one that these young kids are on? Snapchat. I've never gone on that. I don't even know how that works. That's just not for me. Right? These it's these platforms are more about surrounding your personality and your brand as opposed to your music. So I was on this other conference with DDEX. DDEX is the organization that's trying to standardize metadata across the entire music business landscape. And this guy said music sells everything except music. Music sells everything except music. So it sells emotions, it sells fashion, it sells movies, it sells products and services, but the music is like just the icing on the cake, right? So the music industry is now more about memes and short videos and all these things that generate hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of streams and brings attention to this particular product or this event or this thing, and that kind of helps to sell the music, right? So in terms of that, that's been a bit of a change in terms of how people consume music. Like everybody's going on TikTok now to see what's the latest thing, but the music that's playing behind. So let's say it's somebody dancing with their cat, right? And it just blows up, it goes viral. But whatever music is playing behind, somebody owns it, and it's generating revenue.
You
So
never.
we're looking at the dance. Whoever they're dancing with this cat is a funny video, but the music is playing behind. And that music is generating money, and somebody owns the rights to that music, and therefore is collecting that money every time it's streamed. Mm.
You never I'm glad for that information because you never really think of that. We get caught up in the hype of the dance,
Uh-huh.
the video, and we really forget about the music. And on that note, explain
Mm.
because I've had this conversation before the importance of registering your music and having it copyright.
Mm.
Can you share it? Because I don't have it a lot over here, but especially in the Caribbean, I've had this conversation over and over. But I call you industry gold.
Mhm.
So what else the importance of having your music registered and copyrighted?
Okay, so under British law,
Mm.
and there's some Caribbean islands that are under British law. Once you write a song, if you write a song, like say you and I were at a restaurant, we're eating, we're having a good time, and I'm like, I'm hearing a song, and I start to write that song down on a piece of paper or napkin, right? Once I do that, it's automatically in copyright. Automatically in copyright. I don't have to go anywhere and do anything. That song on that napkin is in copyright. Um, but it it only becomes in copyright when it's in a physical form, like on that piece of napkin. If you have an idea, you cannot copyright an idea, right? However, now that that song is on that napkin, let's say let's say you wrote the song, you put it on a napkin, and then you went to the bathroom to powder your face and whatever, and I take that napkin and I just, I put it in my pocket, and then 2 weeks later, you're hearing your song on the radio.
You would never do that to me.
Never. But let's say I thought, this is a good song, and I just take that song. If you didn't register it with the if you didn't have a timestamp of when that song was registered or evidence of when that song was written, then I'm free to take it because there's no evidence that it's yours. So in order to protect that from happening, there's something called the poor man's copyright, where you write the song down, put it on a CD or put it on a disc or whatever, and then mail it back to yourself. They call that like a poor man's copyright, and in some places it holds. And only when you get that package back, you put it in a safe space, meaning you can't open it. You must never open it. It can only be opened by an entertainment attorney. Once you open it, it's void. So what happens is that when that package comes back to you, the stamp from the post office will have a timestamp on it. And that will be evidence for an attorney or court of law that this song is yours. Now they call that the poor man's copyright, right?
Yeah.
Outside of that, it's a good idea to have it registered with a performing rights organization, also known as a PRO, right? They also on the registration sheet, will have a timestamp or date stamp of when that song was registered. So that will give you some level of protection for your song, and that's important for protection. In the US, it's positively a good idea to register with the US Copyright Office. Even if you're with BMI or ASCAP, you must or should register with the US Copyright Office.
Oh. Very informative. That part I didn't know. I've always had the conversation, but at that part, listen. I was watching a show and I seen it was just a regular TV series, and I seen this rock band and the guy did that, and I thought it was like okay, but I didn't realize it was a real thing. To mail it back to yourself. See, that I did not know. So I 100% agree with you that it is important for us to register music, and I appreciate the information that you shared about copywriting. And again, I did not know that mailing it was, like you said, the poor man copyright, but it seems legit. It is legit. And I appreciate that information because some people may not have the money to copyright, because
registering with the PRO, though, is a one-time fee wherever you are. It's a one-time fee, and then you can register as many songs as you want.
I appreciate
so, that. We spend a lot of money in other things. We can put the $100 or the $150 or whatever it is to get the song registered, right? Very, very important.
One of the things that I've learned over the year is people find money to do what they think is important. And I feel like the fact that sometimes you don't register those songs is that you don't see it as important. And I think that if you believe in your product as much as you want people to believe in it, you will get it registered. You will get copyrights and everything like that. You will do everything to solidify your song because it's your baby. Personal opinion.
Your baby. It's your baby. So you want to take care of it. Like it's like your baby is like your children. You want to make sure they're immunized. You want to make sure they got their social security number, passport. You want to make sure they got certain things. It's the same way with your song. You want to make sure that it's registered, and then the associated metadata is with the song, and that all the places that the song is exploited and generates money, that your PRO is collecting that money and you're receiving that money. That's what the PRO is there for. Gotcha. So literally help you collect the money that's generated from it. Right. If it's not registered, you can't get the money.
And then the other thing is, I know like a lot of times with indie artists, being an indie artist is great, but it takes more work. It's not just about recording a song, releasing it, and promoting it. There's a lot of back end works. As an indie artist, there's so much more research and nights up that you have to spend learning the legal side, the industry side. Even if you may not want to go to a label, you might need to pay a lawyer to get some information done in order to do well. Yep. You agree, disagree?
I absolutely agree. I was just talking on Clubhouse with someone before I got onto you, and they asked like, what are the basics that an indie artist should know? And you're not going to know everything. I don't know everything, right? Because it's so complex. There's so many layers, so many departments, so many things to consider. but we want you to know at least the basics, so that when you come to us, it's not we have to teach you from scratch.
Right.
Just so go online, search copyright, search music copyright, search how do I register my song, blah blah blah, little things like that. Just learn those little basic things. Learn what a PRO is. Have that knowledge a little bit, so that you know you're not completely oblivious, because that's when people start to take advantage of you, right? So yeah, it doesn't hurt to learn the basics. I mean, you can't be a mechanic or a gymnast or a painter and don't know the tenets, pillars of those things. It's the same thing with music. You have to know how music works. How do you? Everything is about how, when my music goes to the market and it generates revenue, how do I get that revenue back? That's what you need to know, or at least have the concept of, or at least understand.
I agree with that. I love that.
Because if I know everything, you don't know everything, I could take advantage of you, which happens a lot.
And we have to take the time to learn new things every day, educate ourselves because things are always changing and evolving. It's a part of life. And listen,
Absolutely.
I can't say it enough how much I appreciate having this conversation with you. I really
You're welcome.
So one of the things I want you to explain to me, because I genuinely would like to know, because one of the things that you were talking about in Clubhouse when I spoke to you is explaining about registering how to get your music to play on streams and get it to kind of chart and make sense to your country, because you were saying that it differs in countries and locations. Can you expound on that a little bit? Hopefully, I asked you that question right, that you know what I'm saying.
I think I will interpret it this way.
Okay.
So to get your music onto streaming platforms like Spotify, iTunes, Deezer, Tidal now, everybody knows Spotify and Apple Music.
Yeah.
Some probably know about Deezer, some probably know about Tidal. But there are 700 plus DSPs, digital like Spotify. 700 plus DSPs, a lot of DSPs out there. We mainly know about the main ones, the Spotify, the Tidal, the Apple Music. So, how do we? In order to get your music to DSPs, you use something called a digital distributor. You've got DistroKid, TuneCore, CD Baby. You've got Symphonic, United Masters. There are many out there, but again, the popular ones are Wicked, Singing Baby, TuneCore. And you literally upload your files, upload your metadata, upload the ISRC code, and then deliver. The digital distributor delivers that song to the DSPs for you. Now, I could get real technical about that, but I just want to just keep it at the basics. But that's essentially how it goes. In terms of really bringing attention to your genre of music, one good way to do that is by creating playlists of that genre, and then really growing, right? If that playlist has millions of viewers and millions of followers, it's going to, you know, bring it to the curators on Spotify.
Gotcha. Okay. So create those playlists, guys. Create it with your soca music. Create it with whatever genre of music, whatever artist that you like, and share it. Because I was even seeing recently, I think probably last year during the pandemic, a lot of people were like sharing their playlists on Instagram, and people were like, following them, liking them. So do things like that. I'm pretty sure that would help you, not just as an artist, but help an artist that you like.
Yes,
Mhm.
absolutely.
Okay. So we're about to do a little pivot 360 about something that bugs me and bothers me.
Yeah.
And I really want your input on this. And again, right now I'll speak directly as a Caribbeanite. There is no such thing, guys, so y'all don't quote me on that word. I do not believe that it is mandatory that a artist must sing a song that they write. I do believe it is beneficial for you to write a song sometimes and find the appropriate singer. Keith, help me, help me, help me.
Well, I mean, you essentially said it. You not because you wrote the song, it means that you should sing the song,
Yeah,
that that song is for you, or that you can execute the song the way it should be executed, right? A lot of so I remember Rihanna literally took a bunch of songwriters out to some secret place, a mansion. He kept them there for like 3 weeks apparently, fed them, and all they did all day was write songs. That's all they did, write songs. Um, and Deanne Warren, everybody needs to look up Deanne Warren. She is the most successful female songwriter on the planet. She wrote all those songs we grew up with in high school in the 90s. We grew up with, depending on how old you are. All the Boys to Men stuff, all the movie stuff. She wrote all of it. And she owns 100% of her publishing.
right.
That's on. So, you know, she's raking it. She doesn't have to work again ever in life. She doesn't have to do anything. She doesn't have to, right? Because she's collecting, she's the songwriter. The songwriter makes the money.
Yep.
Perfect example. I will always love you by Whitney Houston, one of the most successful singles on the planet
To date.
to date. It's the most successful song, but Whitney didn't write it, right? It's that lady, country
Dolly
singer,
Parton.
Dolly Parton wrote that song,
Yes.
right? So Dolly Parton collected the publishing on that song.
Yes. Every
She
time I play.
and is still collecting. Will collect it. When she passes away, her estate will collect it,
Yeah.
right? That's what you call legacy, creating a legacy and creating generational wealth, right?
Yeah.
So she had the song for years, but Whitney Houston made it famous.
Yeah.
Now, Whitney Houston would have received money too as a performer,
Yeah.
but the composition and the publishing on that song went to Dolly Parton.
Hmm.
Very powerful. So you can just be a songwriter, and you're just writing songs and getting people to sing them, getting people to sing them. And while you're asleep, you're making money. You don't have to go on stage. You don't have to fly nowhere. You just write that song, you send it, the money comes back to you. So you're absolutely right. If you write a song, think about if really should I be singing this or who do I think could really put this out there? That's a strategy.
Because I know, well, unless it's Rihanna flying you out somewhere private, but because I've heard it over and over where I've seen, um, even artists, famous artists would say, I remember, I think it was either Neo or, I don't think it was Timberland. I can't remember his name right now, but he said he wrote a song, he wanted a song, he wrote it, but he said after he wrote the song, and this is a very accomplished Grammy winning artist. Uh Pharrell, that's who it was. He said he knew it wasn't for him. And then he went and found this singer that took the song and the song won a Grammy. I mean, he could have simply sang the song. Pharrell is no, he could have sang his song, but he didn't. And I wish my heart's cry, like it's literally a cry of mine, especially when it comes to our Caribbean artists, is to don't be so attached to the song that you don't allow it to get the justice it deserves. Like that's how I feel about that. Because some people can write. I've heard lyricists, like, you know, people write, and I'm saying, but your voice is not the lyricist, bro. Let's fix this. Oh. Keith, I appreciate that. How? Let me see if you would even be able to answer this, because it's a weird question. How do you get a writer to detach themselves from the song to allow them to have a different voice on it?
Mm. You gotta think of every song in a strategic way. We think about the song and hearing it play on the radio and hearing people sing the song and all that kind of stuff, getting it to stream. But you've got to start thinking about every song as a business. This is when you create this new song, this new business. What is the strategy for this business? The strategy for this business may not be the same strategy for the other 15 businesses that I have or 15 songs. So every new song you're thinking, this one's for me. Should I be acoustic? Record it? What is it? That's how you got to think of it. And then when you figure that out, that will kind of help you to navigate how you should go about um, pursuing or marketing this song now or marketing this business. Right? Don't go off thinking that every song I write is for me. It's just that's a very limited thinking when it comes to your music business strategy. Right? Do you want the fame or the money? Do you want the money or the fame? Now you can have both, but generally sometimes they're competing for each other. So you will either have more fame and less, or more money and less fame.
That right there, what you just said, like the depth of thinking of it as a business, and if you want to, you know, have it. I wouldn't have thought of that to answer it that way. That's why I was like, this is a good question. But that was,
It's a business.
yeah.
It has to be marketed and branded a different way. Just think about it.
Okay. And just to make sure that I've had the right theory on this, when you register your music, the music is usually registered separate from the lyrics, correct?
No,
Or together?
it's all one thing.
Okay. And then everybody kind of gets their money, it figures it out.
Right. So, okay. So you're kind of right. Yes. You're registering the melody and the lyrics.
Gotcha.
You're registering the melody and the lyrics. You're not really registering the recording.
Okay.
So every song is split into two. You've got the composition side, but the master side. But the composition side is also split into two. You got the composition and you got the publishing. Right? That's on the right, the composition side. And then you have the master side, which is the recording. So the music and the lyrics are split into two: writing side, publishing side. Then you have the master side, which is the master side is the recorded side. So when you sign up with a PRO, ASCAP, BMI, COT in Trinidad, JCAP in Jamaica, etc., SOCAN in Canada, right? They're all the same thing. The PRO, that PRO will pay you on the writing side of the composition, right? As the writer, it will pay you on the writing side. But you then have the publishing side, you have to get a publishing administrator to collect your mechanicals to pay you that side. So the composition side is split into two, but your PRO is only paying one side of the composition. The publishing side is still there to be paid as well. So you have to get a publishing administrator to collect that side of the royalties so that you can get the both sides of the composition.
Class is in session, guys. This interview is done. Like, done.
Yeah, that's a lot. Trying to keep it simple, but
It is simple but complicated at the same time.
I get it. And listen, so when are you doing a master class? Because I'm ready to just sit and take in this master class.
I do have a conference on the 24th of January. It's a Zoom conference. It's on Eventbrite. It's also on my page, Keith Anthony.
I'll put the link at the bottom of this video. You guys need to go and register and be a part of it. If you're a serious artist and you really take your business, as he rightfully said, your music, you take it seriously, I strongly register that you just sit and drink from Keith. Like,
this conference is going to focus more on the metadata side, which is the most important side of everything, because it affects everything.
So here's the thing. So because you talk about it so much, every time I hear metadata, I think about you.
That's so cool.
No, I cannot hear the word without being, oh, Keith. So let's jump off a cliff and talk about metadata, what it is and why it's so important.